Hello and welcome to Columbus Local Podcast. I am Len D'Amico. This is episode number 49. Tonight we have Rico Cella. Rico, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Len. Appreciate you having me.
Oh yeah, it's always good to see you.
Likewise.
I'm glad that you made it in. You know?
Oh yeah, it was a pretty scary drive in. A little bit of snow and rain, and me and Renita were heading your way, and we about got in a crash due to a person turning left in front of us without yielding while we had the green. So we are blessed to be here, and thank God I had some good driving skills to maneuver without crashing and getting here on a timely manner.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. I was about to say, because I needed a pretty good stiff drink while we got here to calm both of our nerves.
You know, we did have a little pregame, and I do thank you for, bringing something special. You know, what was that? What was that we did have? We had a little tiny sip earlier this evening when you guys came in.
I think we had some Jefferson Manhattan. And brought a little bit of Buffalo Trace.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's delicious. It's very good.
On a big rock for all around, and it was very, 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 very nice bourbons.
Absolutely. Like my whiskey and bourbon for sure.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciated that. And you also gifted me with a Distorted Silence.
Yeah, whiskey glass. Yeah, handmade. It was etched from a friend of mine, and they burn the actual logo into the leather around the glass. Bradbury Leather Works. Shout out to him. Appreciate that. He also makes some of our hats for the Distorted Silence with the leather patch on it. So. Hopefully you get some more of that stuff, maybe for some merch in the future.
Good deal. Yeah, that's awesome. And Rico Cella is frontman, manager, vocalist, runs the band for Distorted Silence.
With a little help from my friends, of course.
Absolutely. It's a great show. Rock and roll, rock music, rock covers.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we like to do. We like to do the rock and roll, and we enjoy that. We're dabbling into a little bit more of the dancey rock now to make everybody happy. We started a little heavier back in the day, but we're enjoying to do that dance rock, for the fans and our friends and the public. So.
Yeah, it's always a experimental journey, right, with the set list as the years go by and you just kind of experiment. But I got to say, you guys do. Roll with keeping things fresh.
Well, we appreciate it. We like to mix it up a little bit and change our set list. I like to go out, and see other bands and support the local music scene. And we have such a great local music scene here in Columbus, Ohio. So many great bands and musicians. We are very blessed to have them. And I always like to go out and see what they're doing. So Distorted Silence tries not to copy what they're doing. So we are all a little bit different. So the Columbus music scene and all our supporters can enjoy a different variety, for the bands that do perform around the venues and the scene.
Yeah, well stated. Couldn't agree with you more. It's really awesome, and you guys have a full plate for 2024. Happy to see that. Like so many bands that are out there getting their gigs lined up, and you guys definitely have a full plate.
Yeah, we're very blessed. We have, I believe it's 31 shows on the books right now. We do have a couple maybe small opening slots if anybody else wants to book us maybe for the summer. But we're pretty much jam-packed.
Yeah, as it should be. As it should be, sir.
Absolutely. That's what we like.
So I was thinking, two guys with vowels at the end of the name drinking a little whiskey. We had
little Paisan action going on.
That's what I was thinking, man, for sure. And it's always a pleasure to see you and hang out.
Likewise.
And so thanks for coming.
Oh, pleasure's all mine, man. I'm just excited that you asked me to do this, and I'm really excited. I've enjoyed a lot of the other podcasts you've done with all the other local musicians. I've learned a lot about a lot of my friends and other musicians in the scene, and it's been a real blessing. I think it's a great thing you're doing, Len.
Oh man, it's really a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So, Distorted Silence has been really active for how long?
Well, we started. I started the project back in about 2009, 2010. Actually, got a. I was doing some stuff, trying to find myself and back into the music and stuff, and put some ads out on Craigslist, and had a gentleman, and I can't remember his name. Was a guitar player that reached out to me and said, "Hey, yeah, I like the type of music you're wanting to do. Come out to my place and we'll see, if we could mesh together and see what's going on." So I went out to his place and met with him, and he said he was a pretty seasoned guitar player, and unfortunately that was not the case. Super nice guy, and I appreciated everything. So we did work together for a little bit, and then we kept the ad going out on the Craigslist, and we had a drummer answer the ad. I had no clue who that drummer was. And then we set up a meeting, and the drummer that came out to the meeting and the rehearsal was Mr. PJ Harrell. Little shout out to PJ. And so when PJ showed up, I actually went to high school with PJ, and it was good to see him. And I was like, wow, man, this is awesome. So we both discuss things with the guitar player, and obviously outside of the rehearsal, we both agreed. Unfortunately, we were going to go in a different direction than that guitar player wanted to go in, and obviously me and PJ Harrell continued to put ads out on Craigslist to find some other members.
That's great. Excuse me. It's great longevity there from that point forward. And I know that you've lived in Columbus a long time, but knowing you, I think you're transplant at some point. But let's go back to the very beginning of Rico, right? Rico Cella. Where did all this start for you?
Well, I was born and raised in Queens, New York, Broadway, Flushing to be exact. Grew up there until about 14 years of age. Had a great upbringing in New York City. Had a dad that was music oriented. He used to play the accordion of all instruments, along with my uncle Tony, and they used to play at the resorts up in the Catskill Mountains, kind of like you saw on Dirty Dancing, the movie. So I kind of grew up in that scene, and it was pretty awesome, as a kid, listening to my dad and my uncle, play the music for all these great people enjoying it. So, I mean, that's how I kind of grew up with my dad doing that. And then my mother, obviously, she was an avid singer. And she did a lot of singing in the church, and she was always singing around the house. And I kind of grew up with singing with her. And obviously, she got me involved in the church choir and all that stuff that, you do when you're younger. And I enjoyed that. And, started out doing all that stuff. So
you knew early that you had a natural ability to express yourself through singing, it seems.
Yeah. I enjoyed the sing. It was natural to me. I worked real hard at it. My mom pushed me in a lot of ways. She had me actually even try out for the what do you call it, the one of the top choruses, children choruses in New York City, and actually made that chorus. It was the get my thoughts straight. All this bourbon's kind of going straight to my head. I'm just like, where did I go from here, there, Len?
Rico, we're all good, man. He's coming back around.
Metropolitan Opera, there it is. I tried out to the Metropolitan Opera of all. Like the opera, really, Rico? You tried out for the opera? What the heck's wrong with you? Yeah. So
Renita's right behind you, man. She's in.
She's laughing at me. She's like, Jesus, Rico, what are you doing?
And Beth's here too. We're all here. We're all here rooting for the.
What a great crowd we have for the success
consciousness
in the fall.
For the consciousness to come back.
Right. Well, that's what happens when you drink too much bourbon before you start. Hey, it's my fault.
That's okay, man.
But yeah, I did the Metropolitan.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Not everybody gets to get into that, right?
Yeah. Kudos to my mother. She pushed me pretty hard young in life. Wanted me to do that type of stuff and acting and all that stuff. And, unfortunately she's not with us anymore, but she was a big supporter of me and she helped me a lot, through a lot of things. And I'm very blessed to have a wonderful mother like her.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's good stuff. And nice sentiment there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from there, I did some stuff back in New York City. I tried to dabble in the guitar. I took some guitar lessons, Conservatory of Music and the Brooklyn Queens Conservatory of Music. Did the guitar for a little bit. Unfortunately, I was just I was a young boy, I had a lot of aspirations of what I wanted to do in life, and I just decided, hey, I enjoy the guitar, but I want to try other stuff. So I started doing martial arts at the Flushing YMCA. So I did judo for several years. Was in a couple of tournaments and stuff like that, and kind of got away from the guitar. But like I said, I've always been singing, and I enjoy the guitar, and I've tried to play the guitar, throughout my lifetime and stuff, and it's still on my plate to get better and better and better, and hopefully one day, you'll see a guitar in my hand at a Distorted Silence show.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. What kind of guitar would you want to bring to the table? I mean, you've got Mr. LaVerse there, man. I mean,
yeah, he's a Jackson guy for sure. Well, my first guitar was, and I think I've heard this song because I've listened to a couple podcasts, and it seems like, back in the 70s and 80s, and some of the other people, have had the Harmony guitar, and my first guitar was a Harmony Flying V guitar from J.C. Penney's.
So you're going to go that route then?
Well,
when you get to that,
maybe. But I do have several guitars at the house, that are just sitting there waiting for me to pick them up and knock the dust off them. So I do have the.
You'll do it when you're inspired to.
Correct. And now that I got a little bit more time on my hands, I'm hoping that's in the cards. But
I hope it is too. It's a lot of fun. It's a very personal journey.
Absolutely.
And you're going to enjoy it. I'm going to encourage you to continue to consider picking it up.
I keep telling my bandmates, one day you're going to see me playing the guitar, and they kind of look at me with this kind of weird face, like, okay, whatever, Rico. Just keep singing, man.
Just keep singing, and if you want to play guitar, make sure you're ready before you bring it around your.
Absolutely,
around your
I would never do that to the our people that come out and see us if it wasn't ready. But I would like to say, obviously growing up, my father did instill a lot of cool stuff with music. He used to bring me back a 45. Record from Manhattan. He used to work downtown 42nd Street and Broadway in Manhattan, and he would always bring me at least once a week a couple of 45s from different artists, and I really appreciated that. Everything from Billy Joel to Dean Martin to Frank Sinatra, and then one day I remember I was like, well, I was listening to WPLJ in New York City. Shout out! I don't even know if that station is still around. I said, hey, I want to hear some Motley Crue, Dad. Can you get me a Motley Crue album? And my dad kind of looked at me because he was old school. He's like, who the heck is that? So he did. He found a Motley Crue album. I do have a Motley Crue 45 red vinyl with Shout at the Devil and A Piece of Your Action on the backside. And I was just like, wow, Dad, thanks for branching out and not bringing me all this other stuff that you like to listen to, which I do have an Elvis record that's red vinyl, too, that he brought me. But I give him kudos for, expanding that and helping me enjoy the different genres of music and the different types of music that he enjoyed as a young man, along with expanding my horizons on stuff that I actually liked that he probably would never have listened to, not once.
Not once.
Probably not.
Do you still have these records?
I do. I sure do.
That's cool. Yeah. I want to spend them with you sometime, man.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I'll bring them over. You can come to my place and we'll let them rip.
Absolutely. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So anyway, in 1980-ish, my dad decided, I'm going to pick up and I'm going to take the family and move from New York City to Columbus, Ohio. And I was like, huh? What? What are you talking about? Columbus, Ohio, where's that?
In the corn.
That's like a cow town, right?
It's in the corn.
So I'm telling all my friends and they're like, yeah, that's a cow town. What the hell are you moving there for? I was like, I don't know. I don't have a choice, right? I guess part of the reason was my dad was getting a job transfer, and then, the high school I was planning on going to was probably a big racially motivated high school with a lot of gang violence, and my dad wanted to get me out of the city. I grew up in the time, the graffiti on the trains. I mean, I had a great upbringing. Don't get me wrong, but my dad wanted to find a different lifestyle from the concrete jungle to a different area to raise his family. And, what am I going to do? I give him all props because I'm still here. So.
And we're glad that you are.
I appreciate that. So of all places we moved to, we didn't just move to Columbus, Ohio. We moved to a suburb, Grove City.
Nice.
And I'm like, Grove, Tucky, what?
There's a lot of music history in that.
There is. I do hear a lot of people are from Grove City that are in a lot of local bands, and there's some great players from the town of Grove City. So I'm blessed that he transplanted me there. Excuse me. Once here, I mean, it was kind of a culture shock because obviously growing up in New York City. The ladies of the New York City were really played hard to get and stuff, and I'm just like, you always had to chase the ladies, as a young man. I'm like, wow, this is kind of wearing me out, man. You're making me work. I come to Grove City in Ohio and they're freaking knocking on my door, Not Renita, of course, because I didn't meet her till later in life, but God bless her. But yeah, they would knock on my door. I had a strong New York accent. Of course, nobody would know that now because I've got the old Ohio twang. God love it.
You've totally lost that whole East Coast vibe at this point, man.
I did.
It's a little disappointing.
Well, sometimes when I drink a lot, it comes back. What'd you say, Ree?
Only when you're hanging around New York.
Well, yeah, when I hang around New Yorkers, it comes back out. Well, New York Italians, whatever.
East Coast people, there's a sense of them that you definitely project.
Well, it's a different vibe for sure. It's a very fast-paced upbringing. I remember my dad specifically, when we moved here, he would joke a lot with some of the waitresses and stuff, and that was okay back in the East Coast, but the waitresses looked at him like he was crazy. Like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Very, very fast paced, very, we say our mind, which I'm always in trouble for. It's a little bit different. I mean, it took me a little while to adjust to Columbus, but I still, I'm still a me, and I still, have that background that I can't unfortunately change.
Don't go changing, man. Just be you.
Don't go changing.
Continue to be you, and
Billy
nothing
Joel.
else.
Little Billy Joel for sure. So anyway, when I came here from New York City to Grove City, Ohio, I continued doing some different things. I was a big baseball fan in New York, and obviously became a baseball fan here. But I gravitated to choir in high school, and I did a little bit of what they call the swing choir or the glee club. The song and dance type of stuff, and I did some some plays, some musicals where I sang and I danced and all that type of good stuff. And I used to be able to do a toe touch. I don't know, maybe if I stretched a lot, Lynn, I could maybe still possibly do that, but I don't know.
I thought that you were doing something like that a few moments ago.
Yeah.
But you didn't quite
on
go
the
down.
on the balcony right there.
No. When you're trying to remember.
Oh yeah. I was trying to stretch out
the
and
choir.
stretch my.
The choir. You were.
Oh, that's right. I was trying to stretch out my brain cells to get that. Absolutely.
Didn't go down though. You know why? Because you're all that.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad somebody thinks so.
Hey, I don't think I'm the only one.
Well, that's
all good, man.
That's very, very wonderful. But anyway, I want to give out the shout out to Peg Weber from Grove City High School. She was my choir director. She was pretty awesome. Actually, funny story. Me and Renita ran into her, and I mean, no offense, I never thought the woman was still alive. And we were over at a breakfast establishment, and we ran into her. God love her, and she's still alive and kicking and still doing well, and remembered me, and I couldn't believe it, man. So I mean, kudos to all the educators and the choral directors and music directors that have made us who we are today. Because without them, we probably wouldn't be doing the stuff that we love to do.
No doubt about it. And that's fun to do that sometimes. I always appreciate running into a teacher or somebody who's important like that in your life. It's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, but anyway, so we so moving through high school, I continued to do the music, continued to do the choir. Ran some track. Did some wrestling, all that good stuff that we do. When we're in high school. But moving through high school and graduating, I've always had friends in high school that were in bands and that they were like, doing the band thing. But since I kind of was a transplant, a lot of people really didn't know who I was, didn't know what I was capable of doing. So I never had the opportunity during high school to maybe get into a band like I am in now, or to, have that happen. But, towards my end of high school, I actually joined a youth group, and some people might remember this youth group. It was called Young Life. And it was a group, for people that, didn't want to have people drinking and doing the bad things that we do in high school. Unfortunately, I still did those bad things. Shame on me. Right.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, you can't imagine, I'll be honest with you. I'm really blessed, because, just like all of us, we have some things in our life that we're really blessed to still be here, because we've all done some crazy things in life. And I'm just like, well.
Like driving over here, apparently.
Like driving over here and not getting in an accident and being killed.
I'm glad that didn't happen, man.
Holy smokes, man. I mean, it was within inches, Len. You have no idea. I mean, the scream that my wife gave was blood curdling. Blood curdling. So, but anyway.
But, mapping back to the day, you survived it. You survived it tonight. You survived it back then.
I'm a survivor. I am a survivor, and I'm very blessed. Every day is a blessing, and I appreciate everybody that's ever came into my life and will come into my life, because without those people, that's how we become who we are in life. So, but like I said, moving forward, getting into this Young Life group, ended up being asked to be kind of like a music director, so to speak, or doing like a sing along, for the students. Or I recently graduated from high school, so I was kind of like a person that they looked up to like do some songs and stuff. So with those songs, there was some musicians that played the guitar and stuff like that. And so we were doing. I remember one night we were doing it was actually a remake of a Guns N' Roses song. It was help me out.
There's a lot in that category, in that catalog.
Yeah. Anyway,
Welcome to the Jungle.
No, it definitely wasn't. Because this was a youth group, and we were probably supposed to. It was a Christian type of a youth group, right?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different youth.
I think it started. Was it? Oh shoot! It was a remake. It was a remake of. Oh, come on! See, the bourbon's kicking in. See, what do you got? Come out, help me out. Everybody's got nothing. Everybody's got. Anyway,
we'll move on.
So anyway, I was doing this song. It was a Guns N' Roses remade.
Knocking on Heaven's Door.
There it is, knocking on Heaven's door.
Right on.
Thank you, Beth. See, you got to have people in the peanut gallery to help you out, people. I'm just saying, I appreciate that.
Three or four chord wonder. I'll teach you that before you go home.
Right. Anyway, so we're doing Knocking on Heaven's Door, and we're doing some harmonies and stuff, and I've got two players. They got the long rock hair, and I'm just like, who are these guys, man? They're pretty good. And so after we get done with the song, and after the meeting, they come up to me and say, hey, man, we're looking for a new lead singer for our band. Is that something you might be interested in? I said, well, hell yeah. Unfortunately, up until that point, I never really had the opportunity of doing anything like that. I was wanted to, go down that road. I've had a lot of experience on stage and singing and stuff, but I never was in a rock and roll band. And so they said, hey, okay, cool. They said, well, come on out to our drummer's house, and, we'll give you an audition and see how it goes. And I said, okay, sounds good, man. So I ended up going out and trying out for this band, and they liked what they heard, and I made the cut. And at that time, the band was called Circus, and it was Steve Anderson, Mark McCoy, and Mike Purcell, all Grove City graduates. So if you guys are listening to this, man, shout out to you guys, man. Hope you're well. And so we started doing our thing. And back then it was like 89, 90-ish.
What kind of music were you guys
We were
into
doing
producing?
we were doing like Kiss. We were doing like Van Halen.
Popular at the time.
Popular 80s, Warrant, all that stuff that was, really mainstream at the time. And so we started doing some covers, and then we actually wrote a original 4-song EP. And before that happened, we got contacted by a country band of all bands, and they said, hey man, Circus is our name.
Oh jeez.
And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, we got rights to that name and we have a trademark and you need to change your name. And we're like, okay. So we start brainstorming a little bit and we're like, well, how about putting Slam in front of that circus? And we're like, well, that's got a good pop to it. Let's do that. So we became Slam Circus.
I like that name.
I tell you what,
like
it's
it
a
a
lot.
lot.
It's a lot better than circus because I thought we were going to have to work, start wearing clown makeup or something.
So, what year was that? Give or take.
It was probably, I graduated. It was probably about 80, 89, 90, somewhere in that frame. Because when I graduated from high school, of course, like most young men, I didn't really have a direction what I wanted to do in life. I was like, well, I'm going to take some time off. I didn't want to jump right into college, and didn't know where I wanted to go or what career field I wanted to take. So I was like, well, I've always enjoyed the music. So I was just like, well, we'll see what happens, working full time at the local grocery store, don't hurt nobody, right?
Hey, there's a lot of things that can be pursued at that time in a person's life. That's what you were doing.
Yeah.
And you were playing music. Where were you guys gigging at in the late 80s?
Well, like so many others, we did our shots at the old Battle of the Bands, the Atlantis, East Dallas. We've played there, and then we played obviously the Alrosa. We did a lot of opening acts at the Alrosa with a lot of the other bands that I've heard back in the day, and it was such a great scene, man. Even back then. Obviously, a lot of competition, just like just like today, but a little bit different. I think today, it's not so much competition; it's more camaraderie. And back in the day, the competition was a little bit more cutthroat than it is today. Today, we all try to support one another and go out to see one another, and we all try to succeed and try to help others succeed. It's not so much of a I'm better than you, you're better than me type of atmosphere.
I totally agree with you on that. And it's very healthy environment. And there's a lot of hugging, and there's a lot of high-fiving, and there's just a lot of grooving, with to a given gig where a lot of folks are hanging out because they're not gigging that night. But there's a lot of that in the music community here in Columbus, Ohio, and there's a lot of folks too that frequent a certain club. There's several clubs that are always hiring bands on the weekends and bringing in business and keeping the economy rolling in those areas. And I know. It's a very healthy thing, man, for sure. I mean, that's a thing that you're a part of. You're a big part of that. I see it in you every time you're out, not on the stage.
Well, I appreciate.
And when
that.
you're on the stage.
Well, I appreciate that, Len, and I do like to support everybody. And when I'm not gigging, I try to get out and support as many other bands as possible and show the love because without the support from other bands and the community and the venues that book us, we wouldn't be able to do the things we love to do as musicians. So, I really appreciate each and every musician in Columbus and the bands and the venues that continue to book us. And of course the fans and the supporters and the wives and the girlfriends that put up with all our late nights and antics.
Shenanigans.
Renita could contest to that. God bless her. God bless her. I think she's only missed a couple shows in the 12 years of Distorted Silence. And, You know, I would consider she's a number one fan for sure. I mean, I don't know what I would do without her for sure.
Let's hope so.
Good answer, right, Rico? I'm good for another week or two, right, Renita?
Oh man. So Slam Circus, that you started what, 89-ish, give or take, and you ran for a while.
For a couple years, man. We did that album, the Slam Circus Music Show, and you know, we did that, and we continued to open up for some bands, and unfortunately, my tour with them got cut kind of a little short. My dad got diagnosed with congestive heart failure, serious heart issue, where he had pretty much a 50-50 chance to live, and I had to take him up to Cleveland to the clinic up there because they were the only ones that were willing to help him out. And so anyway, long story short, I kind of addressed that with the band members, and unfortunately they wanted to go a different direction. They weren't willing to wait a month or so till I took care of family matters to continue. So we left, you know, on good terms. Wish them luck and stuff, and you know, family first, number one, you know. So that's just how that chapter closed, unfortunately, on the music.
Understood. So that wasn't that was a time of compassion for you, you know, working through some health issues there in the family. But did you take a hiatus at that point, or where'd you go from there?
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, I did take a hiatus for a little while. Kind of went back to the workforce and started working for the man in the corporate America, so to speak, and ended up going that route because, you know, I didn't think that anything was going to come out of the music, unfortunately, at that time. As much as I wanted it to, I decided, you know, to, you know, gear down and start a family and, you know, do the things that a normal person would do other than being a rock star, unfortunately. And that's what I did for the next 20 or so years, I think it was. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a common path for a lot of folks to end up getting pulled into life, right? But then you popped out at some point. How'd that happen?
Well,
and what inspired you to get back, you know, involved?
Yeah. So I've always, you know, sang. I never quit singing. You know, I would go to, you know, like a lot of people go do their karaoke and stuff like that. So I started going out to some of the karaoke open mics and, you know, doing the karaoke stuff, and, you know, had some people say, "Hey man, you're pretty good singing. I mean, you should, you know, do something else." And then then I obviously met my wife. God bless her. I met her on Halloween sporadically at Lucky's in Hilliard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky to meet my wife in Lucky's.
I'll say.
On Halloween.
I'll say you were lucky.
Wrote a song about it.
Not to the devil.
Yeah. So yeah, she was the devil. Yeah, she walked in and she was wearing a devil costume, and I was like, like Scooby-Doo. I was just like, wow, who's that? You know. So anyway, long story short, you know, started talking to her, and next thing we know, you know, we're carrying on conversation, and you know, the rest is history. You know, she's been with me ever since, and so Lucky's in Hilliard has been kind of a staple for us for live music. Actually, it was the first place to give Distorted Silence a start for a full show. But during that time when I was dating my wife, Renita, we had some mutual friends that we ended up running into, and another friend that was in a band called OCD. and them guys were like one of the only bands that were sponsored by Jägermeister as a cover band, which was kind of pretty cool. And they used to have the Jaeger girls come out and give away the free swag and stuff like that. And we got pretty close, with the whole band. And singer was a real good friend of mine, Tyler Hieronymus. Shout out to him, and Anders and Ed. And so anyway, we started following them and going out and seeing live music and going to their shows. And then lo and behold, they would get me up on stage and do some, guest singing during some of their shows. I appreciated that. I enjoyed that. And that was one of the things that actually I was thinking to myself, what am I doing here? I mean, I'm sick of doing karaoke. I'm sick of playing, guest performances with this band. I think it might be time to do something of my own again, And, kudos to them. I mean, I even asked my wife to marry me on stage at one of their gigs, and they actually learned a original song during that time, so it was pretty awesome. Renita didn't think it was pretty awesome, but because she loves being embarrassed, and she knows I embarrass her a lot, but she's pretty awesome. So, but anyway, so yeah, kudos to them, man, and it was a great eye-opening experience, and I was just like, it's time to do something of my own again. I think I want to reach out and do that. And that's kind of when I put out the Craigslist ad, and I met that one guitar player, and then we ended up meeting PJ Harrell, who actually helped me start Distorted Silence. He has actually played with numerous bands in Columbus. I think his most recent project that he's with now is Armada,
Yep.
Yeah, which I think they got a show coming up. He's doing a good job there. Yep. They got a show coming up. He played with Cowtown. He played with Pretty Filth. And I'm not sure if there's a couple other bands, but I remember him from high school. He used to be in the band, was in percussion and stuff like that. But we hit it off, and and that's when we started that. Started reaching out to other musicians to try to form Distorted Silence.
How'd the name Distorted Silence come about? Is there a story there?
Well, I'll tell you what.
It's a great story.
Well,
I mean, it's a great name for.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. So a lot of people think, so obviously when we came up with that name, there was, I don't know how many names we jotted down on a piece of paper. And PJ's, he's such a jokester, man. There were several really off the cuff names, and I wish I could remember them, but there were so many that he's like, well, let's just name us this, and like Kill the Bunny or something like really silly. I'm like, man, what the heck, and we wanted something because at that time we were kind of going for a more, kind of a hard rock vibe, something in your face, something different, something memorable. Kind of an oxymoron. And, we kept throwing different things around, and hundreds of names later, we came up with Distorted Silence.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still cool. I mean, a lot of people think...
It's longevity to it,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't get rid of it now because it's trademarked and copyrighted, so...
You have a lot of ink? Is it inked?
I do have it inked on my my left arm. I got a Distorted Silence Screaming Skull, so I guess I can't change it now.
No, it's sort of like, well, we don't even go there.
Well, I've got a music arm and I've got a family arm, so still working on that.
Yeah, on both, hopefully, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did the concept of Silencer Nature or Nation come to fruition?
You know what? It just sounded like, we wanted a group of people that were followers that enjoyed the music we were doing, that enjoyed coming out to see us, and we wanted it to be family oriented, So it just kind of flowed. I mean, it just kind of like Silencer Nation. I mean, you guys, without the silencers, we are nothing. I mean, I know it's kind of an oxymoron, and you think it's silent, but the silencers are definitely not silent. We have grown so many supporters, both new and old, that have followed us and that have supported what we've been doing for pretty much 12 years now. It's just been a blessing. Like every year it's so awesome. We are so blessed to be in this Columbus music scene and to have so many people supporting us and so many other bands. I can't even.
Well, and players too, right? You've been blessed with
absolutely
some great bandmates over the years.
Yeah, so
and your current lineup is a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely, and it's taken us a little while to get there. We've had a kind of a story in regards to getting there. So we first started when me and PJ first branched out and left that other guitar player. We put the ad out, and we've had several musicians answer. One being Paul Bernardo. He's definitely, him and his son have been in the scene, and he answered our ad, and he was kind of our first guitar player, along with Dan LaVerse. So they both came out, and then of course we found Simon Hotchkiss. He moved here from the UK, from England. On a visa, and I'll tell you what, it's just crazy how you could find great people on Craigslist. Because I mean, now it's a lot easier with Facebook Messenger and Facebook, musician, and you're looking for people, but Craigslist back in the day is something, we had to weed through a lot of people that, are you really a musician, or what do you want from us? Type of thing.
It's a diverse environment, diverse community. There's different people want different things, and you just gotta try to find the ones that are aligned to what you got going on. That's
a lot of them didn't want what we wanted. Go figure, right? But yeah. So I mean, so we started that. I remember me buying a whole PA system, and at that time we were rehearsing at PJ's house in the middle of, I think it was New Albany / somewhere else. It was a small house, and we used to set up, used to drag the PA equipment to his house, and we used to set it up in his living room, and we used to have band rehearsal. And we would go through, several different things and figure out where we wanted to be, and that's kind of what started it all. And of course, throughout the years, we had some members change. Paul Bernardo left; he went to play with these guys live, The Start, and then he's obviously been with several other projects in the scene. Now he was in Radio City. Thank you, Renita. And I think now his pretty much his son is taken over for him in Radio City, and a great player. But Dan LaVerse has been with me from the beginning.
I love to watch him play. I do, and he continues to add.
Right.
To what you got going on.
And I'm so blessed to have him in our project and be such a loyal member to Distorted Silence and for Silencer Nation. So I can't say enough about him. And then, of course, Simon, Simon Hotchkiss, he was right there too. PJ, unfortunately, he had to step away from our project due to personal issues, but he branched out, in the scene to do some other things. And he's still playing music, and we're still great friends, and I still support him and everything he does. So I was just blessed to have him help me start this journey, so to speak, with Distorted Silence for sure. But after he left, we've kind of been through a little bit of some drummers. We've had some great drummers. Pass through Distorted Silence. After PJ, we ended up getting the gentleman, Jim Kilberg, who was a classically trained musician. If I would say anything for Jim, he obviously made our band tighter and better, because he definitely, played true to the music. And he was just a great person, man. Great fit for us at that time. After him, he stepped away for a little bit, and we ended up getting a gentleman that named Bob Klein, who now plays for Rockhouse. Super great guy. Was a super great addition.
Solid drummer.
Solid drummer. Jeez, super solid.
Hang on 1 second.
Sure.
Yep.
So So I've been pretty blessed with drummers. We used to be a 5-piece. I did have a member, Matt Stewart, who was our second guitar player. He was a very energetic individual. He was really good at the rapping with some of our Beastie Boys songs and stuff like that. So he was on board for several years. We did write some originals. Let me kind of back up a little bit, which was pretty awesome. The lineup of Dan Laverse, Simon Hotchkiss, Matt Stewart, and Jim Kilburn. We did a recording session at Valken Studios, which he used to be, and I don't know if he's still doing the live music like he was back in the day. I know he worked with Jimmy Hahn for a little while, and he branched out and got his own recording live sound company. But he also did some, recording. He had a recording studio at his house, and we became friends with him and his wife, and we did a session at his house, a day session, in the early days of Distorted Silence, and we wrote 2 originals, Karma and So Long, which some of them, they might be out there on platforms. I know I'd love to redo those a little bit. I know we've wanted to redo some originals moving forward, or try to write some new originals. But I'll tell you what, I mean, we also did a couple live demo tracks. We did Incubus, an Incubus song, and Living Colour song for a demo back then. And it was a totally great experience recording, again, on that platform with them guys. We had a great day, and we were able to do all 4. I think it was 4 songs in a day, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, studio time's a blast.
Yeah,
it's
I
my
miss
favorite creative, way of spending time.
Yeah, totally miss it. I really want to get back in the studio. I know our current lineup. We've mentioned it. And I'll get to that here in a little bit. But so after that, we played out for a little bit longer with that lineup, and Matt Stewart decided to go a separate way. Then he ended up moving to Florida. So we became a 4-piece. We went from a 5-piece to a 4-piece with 1 guitar, and then we actually brought Mr. Ty Barnes, who's been in the Columbus music scene and a lot of different bands, and
he's just been in that one band, and then I think he had the stint with you, right, Ty?
Yeah, he was
just the 2.
Just are you joking?
Yeah.
I love you, Ty Barnes, but you know the running joke is like, how many bands can Ty do at one time? And it's not a bad thing. I don't know how he does it. He's got some sort of superpower, you know, running a full-time job and side projects, and like 10 bands is the joke. But
it is. But you know what? I will say he did mention, and you can see it on Facebook. They're building AstroCat.
Yes, AstroCat,
and it's coming. And so you know, he has a lot of fans, and it sounds like you're one of his fans too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ty is a great friend, and it was so enjoyable to have him in our project for a couple years. He did step up and go from the guitar to the bass. Because at that time, when he came on board, Simon ended up moving to Florida for a stint due to work and family. So we became a 4-piece. Matt Stewart left, Bob Klein left, and during that time, actually Bob Klein was here with us. I apologize. When Ty was on board, so we became a 4-piece for a little while. And then after about a year or so of playing that 4-piece, Bob decided to leave, and he's actually playing with the great Rock House Band, and they're a great band in Columbus, Ohio. Shout outs to them guys. And and Simon, we got the word that Simon was moving back to Ohio. So, you know, I was just like, wow. I said, you know, let's get Simon back in the project. And we reached out to Simon, and he wanted to get back in the project. And so we got Simon back, and unfortunately at that point, Ty decided to move on to a different project. So we were back to a 4-piece, you know, and, you know, no issues there, you know. Everybody is still cordial and happy and loves each other, and you know, in the band scene sometimes that happens, and you got to do what you got to do to you know, make everybody happy and see how things work out. And so you know, so we're back to Dan, Simon, myself, and then we were able to pick up a new drummer, which we were in search of one. And Simon happened to know a drummer that was kind of not really in the scene, not real well known that I'm aware of, but Simon's daughters and this gentleman named Josh Anderson's daughters were really good friends in high school. And I was like, okay, cool. So you're friends with this guy. Your daughters are friends with each other. Let's bring him on board. Let's see if he, you know, is a good fit. And lo and behold, it was the first rehearsal with Josh Anderson, and that's all we had to hear. He just fit in like a glove, and it was like he was with us from the beginning. So shout out to Josh Anderson. I know at this point he's moved on to do some work things and a lot of he does a lot of live music and setups for big type of like car shows and NAMM and stuff like that. And he was able to get himself back on a company to do that, because he came on board during the whole COVID debacle. So a lot of people, you know, were in between jobs, or that whole live music type of you know, setup kind of closed up shop.
Sure
so
did. Yep, lots going on.
Yeah, so he was with us.
It's all behind us.
Yeah, thank God. I mean, I'm hoping that's way behind us, because that hurt a lot of people. That hurt a lot of venues. Hurt a lot of musicians. You know, we don't need that to happen again. But so anyway, he came on board. It was a great fit for several years. And obviously, when, you know, the scene came back up and running, and COVID, you know, got extinguished, he was able to get some job offers that he couldn't refuse. And you know, for him and his family, which is understandable, he had to take those offers, and you know, he ended up moving on to that job, and we were in search to our final drummer. So, I mean, we had a couple gigs that were that Josh couldn't do due to work, and obviously with mutual friends, Jason Levitt. I reached out to Jason Levitt, and he was available. So we brought him on board and towards the end of 2022 to do a couple fill-in gigs for us. And things went so well during those fill-in gigs, we asked him to be a full-time member. And lo and behold, he is our final drummer and hopefully our last drummer of Distorted Silence.
Another, you know, really strong pillar that's done a lot in the past, but you know, he augments you guys really well. I mean, that's a fun lineup. It's a good, strong lineup. It seems like he's brought some influence of lessons learned from doing covers, and you've added some aspect, and I'm not sure what it is, but I want to get your perspective on your current set list. Is that Jason in there?
Yeah, we've changed our set list up a little bit. Jason has been a positive aspect to a lot of that. He has helped me a lot. I was doing all the booking and all that stuff, and he does have obviously experience from his past projects doing some of that stuff, and you know. Helping to book, helping to do promotions and Facebook and all that stuff that has really helped. We all kind of have a job to do, you know. And Jason's just been a great asset. You know, Dan has helped with developing flyers. Simon is in charge of the website and some of the IT type of things that helps us. So I mean, he has just been a great addition. Moving forward, helping us get into a different level, and that is kind of with some of our new song choices. We have kind of, you know, changed our model up just a little bit to do more of the dance type rock, or taking maybe a dance song and rocking it up to a Distorted Silence way of being. You know, and I think, you know, it seems like, you know, everybody that has been in this project, I have been very blessed. I have built great friendships with each and every one of them, whether they left or whether they're still with us. You know, it seems like every edition, it seems like it's made us better in certain ways. And you know, and I'm sure that happens in a lot of bands. You know, when they have a lineup change or a member change. You know, the goal is to become better. You know, and everybody has their place to resonate. Whether it's, you know, helping to form that band, you know, helping to change things with the times to make it better. It don't make a difference where you fell in the line of Distorted Silence. You had a place in this project to make things better over the years, and I'm greatly appreciative to each and every one of you members and everybody that's supported our project over the 12 years that we've been doing it, and all the venues that have given us the opportunity to play live, and all the new supporters and the new people that have come out to see us that have liked what we're doing. I mean, we couldn't do it without you.
Well, I feel that, and I know that 2024 is bringing a lot of gigs for Distorted Silence, and I think that it's a great show. You know, if you have a great mix of music, and it's a great addition to what's happening, you know, out there in Columbus, Ohio, local music, for sure. And you're going to continue to grow, man. And I'm going to continue to encourage you to go where you're inspired. You know, if you want to pick up that guitar and learn how to play it,
I do.
You're never too old.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And just got to get that motivation. The problem is, I'm like, you start one thing and I feel like a squirrel, like squirrel, like what's over here? What's over there? Where am I going? I was like, oh, I just started 3 different things at the house. I got to finish all 3 and then I got another one started. It's just something that I've got to, settle down, and I got to sit down and,
Good luck with that,
all
man.
credit to all the musicians out there that work hard aimlessly with their instruments, that learn the songs for the cover bands, for the original bands, the singers that learn the songs, everybody, because it's a lot of hard work. People don't realize how hard, when you work hard and in your craft to get better, the goal is to be the best, or to be the best at what you can do. And everybody could be the best at what they are. Long as you're happy with where you are. And if you're not, continue to grow, to continue to be better.
Strive for where you're drawn naturally.
Strive for greatness.
Be yourself.
Correct. Leave a legacy. When somebody says, hey, Distorted Silence was X, Y, and Z, people remember who they were, or people remember who Clubber Lang was. People remember who Phoenix Rising was. People remember who Clubber Lang was. People remember who the Gods were. It's just you have a legacy. Be the best at who you are, to leave a legacy for other people that are listening to music. Because one day, that might be the only thing that they have.
Well stated, my friend.
Yes, sir. And be as great as Len D'Amico is for making an awesome podcast for the Columbus local musicians and then some. Because you know what? This is amazing. Amazing.
It's a labor of love, my friend. It's a labor of love. I've loved local Columbus-based music as long as I've been here, since the early 70s, 1970 something, and it continues to be an inspiration. And it's a fun hobby, learning podcasting, but I'm just hopeful that people are able to take advantage of learning who their favorite players are, who their favorite bands are. Somebody who played in a couple of bands.
Such as Megabeth, don't forget her and her band.
I never forget Megabeth.
She's a force to be reckoned with.
Well, and she's got a lot of talents. She crossing music and theater, and she's had a heck of a business career.
Hey, you might see me in one of her productions. I don't know.
Well, a lot of people discover. See, and that's the beauty. We find things out about each other. Communicating. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's communicating, and lots of bourbon and whiskey.
What could go wrong?
As long as we're at home, we're fine.
You good here? All right, man. I appreciate it. Rico, I want to see more of you, man. And I want to, hang out more. And, I think we've done that in the last 3 months.
Yes, sir.
More so than over the last 10 years that I've been a part of Silencer Nation. But I think that we'll make that happen.
It's been a blessing, and I consider you and Beth our friends, and our positive role models in the music scene, helping all of us to strive greatness. And we couldn't do it without people like yourselves. So thank you.
Or like you, sir. Absolutely. I think there's more to come for Distorted Silence. Go see Distorted Silence this year. There's a lot of gigs out there. Your favorite music venues. They'll be making their rounds with lots of other folks that are out there. And put in a good word for me for our good friend Kelly Rush.
Absolutely.
I've been trying to. A year ago, I think I approached Kelly.
Try to get her on board for sure.
She says
sister from another mister.
She says that she's there's nothing. I'm not. I think there's a lot to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. She's a great musician. She's a great front woman.
And she does a lot to help.
The women are rock. Got to give a shout out to them. Kudos to them. Julie Neal and Bethany Hotchkiss and Mega Beth, Becca Newsom. I'm not going to butcher her last name, but I'm just calling her Mega Beth.
That's perfect. Well,
Paisano, much appreciated, my friend. Thank you.
Rico Cella, Distorted Silence, episode number 49 of Columbus Local Podcast. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.
Peace and